and hopefully it will record the sounds. So that'll just be in the background. So thank you all for coming out today to learn about this exciting new software. We've heard a lot of feedback from you, so we know that you're excited to have something different and new and improved than Weave, so that's great. So we're going to introduce the whole Campus Labs institutional effectiveness platform for you today, and we're very excited to do that today. So how did we get here? For the last 3 years or so, or it might be even 3.5 years, Michelle Fisher knows, because she's been on the Institutional Effectiveness Committee, and we've been trying to look at all these different alternatives to Weave because we've heard complaints from faculty. We want to make this process as easy and beneficial and useful to you as possible. So we have been looking at various alternatives, and we wanted a system that could collect data as well as report it and can be easily integrated with different systems we might have on campus or even within its own system. We reviewed a system called APHIS, but that had limitations. We also looked at Blackboard Outcomes, but the drawback with Blackboard Outcomes was that it didn't connect with the rubrics. So you still had to enter the rubric data twice in the different system, the outcome system, as well as the rubrics side of it. We also looked at TaskScreen, but that was very costly for us, over $100,000 a year, so that was out of the question. We even looked at some of the new platforms that manufacturers have recently developed. And out of all of these, we found Campus Labs to be the most beneficial, cost-effective, and useful for all of the things that we were requiring. And we didn't want just any system. That's why it took us about 3 years. So thank you very much for all your patience in the process. We appreciate it. So the good thing that you'll know is that you don't have to have a new password, like often you would forget your Weave password because hopefully you would go in there more often, but sometimes it was only during annual reporting time. So now we do have single sign-on, but the single sign-on is according to your email. So you would use your email address and your password. So the password is the same as your computer login, but and the page looks very much like you're in your email. When you first log on to Campus Labs, you might think that, oh, am I in the wrong place? That's what I thought, but it is the same page.
And it's your full email address, so the @desu.edu, not just the precursor.
Yeah. So now you don't have to worry about the having to reset your password because it will automatically be changed when you change your password when your email password prompts you to be changed. So the platforms that we have in Campus Labs is something called Baseline, Compliance Assist, a faculty portal, Outcomes, and Planning. So far, we have received full training for planning, and the planning side is very similar to what we did in Weave. So that's where we're going to be entering the assessment data reports.
But way better.
Yes, much easier for you to use. So you will see that you like it. And it is very customizable, so you'll see that. We're still receiving training for the other systems, so we're just going to give you a brief overview. We don't have full access to everything yet as we're being trained on it. So in planning, I'll let Brittany go ahead and review the next few slides.
Sure.
To give you a break from my voice.
I'm loud anyway. I just wanted to point out, we are going to go a little bit out of order, but that's A, because we've received the most training in planning, and B, because this is the piece that's most important for us to kind of get the ball rolling with right now. So Campus Labs offers us the ability to put our strategic plan, to put our own departmental plans, programmatic plans into one place, and also to use data in the way that we used to collect it through ADCS. We'll no longer be kind of going that route. It's all going to be integrated. It does integrate with Blackboard. There are lots and lots of pluses to this system. So within the planning section, what we're going to be doing is documenting your strategic goals, your student learning assessment goals, each and every piece of that and how it relates back to DSU's strategic plan. It's all incredibly customizable, both on our end and on yours. So we have created templates for everyone, and when we push them out, you will get to see kind of a standard of what we're looking for. But if that doesn't work for your department specifically, there are ways for you to go in and add more goals or less goals or more outcomes, more measures. Similar in that way to Weave, except in this system, it has the ability for you to to really move things around as you see fit, as opposed to in Weave, what I think everyone was getting so frustrated with was that it was a systematic process that didn't really make sense. It wasn't particularly user-friendly, and I don't think that that's the case here. So you will be able to personalize your dashboard. You'll be able to track your progress on different goals and strategic initiatives. And again, it does integrate with other systems. So when we go to run reports, you can export them in Word or a CSV file, whatever works best for you, or you can just view the report if you want to see where things stand within your report. Now let me see where we're going here. So do I have to sign in again?
That's the Firefox. I just wanted to show them what the page looked like.
Oh, are we here?
When they log in.
Okay. Nope. Where did you have it?
I closed it out so you can open a new tab.
Okay.
In Google Chrome. This one's Firefox.
Sorry, guys.
Not the GoToMeeting because that one's on, just a new tab.
I know, I'm going to create a new tab. So the website is just going to be desu.campuslabs.com. So if you ever forget it, it's pretty straightforward. We will create a link on our website, but for now, this is the way that we're accessing it. It is live now. So we're going to click down here in planning, and it does take a second to load, and your dashboard is customizable. So right now, you're not seeing anything here because I haven't customized anything for this particular area. But what we're going to go for is plans. And then this first thing that you're going to look at here allows you to select your academic year. So right now we're still playing in 16-17. That way we're figuring out how to upload everything, get everything in there, and then once we have your templates in, we'll be able to push them to current years and copy them over pretty seamlessly is what it seems. I'm hopeful. It looks that way. So after I select the academic year of 2016-2017, down here you see right now the templates that we've created are the departmental strategic plan, and then we put in DSU's Pride 2020 so that you can link to it. But because we're going to do a higher level overview today, we're not going to get to linking. But I just want you to know that that's where it will exist, and that's how you'll tie it all in when we get to that point. So we're going to click Departmental Strategic Plan. And then down here, the first time you log in, it's going to look, this section here to the right will be blank because the very first time you log in, you've never clicked anything. It has no idea what you want to look at. In the future, if you're consistently looking at one particular area, one particular department, when you log in, it will automatically populate that for you. Now, if you're floating between a couple of things, it may populate one that isn't the one you're looking for that time, but you'll be familiar enough with it that you can navigate back and forth. So within it, you're just going to find your unit. So if we're looking at academic affairs, and then I want to go to College of Ag, and then down here I can pick my program, and you can see we've actually already entered some things in this particular department. So this is where you'll see the pieces that you're entering. So you'll see the mission, you'll see the goal, and these are all things that we have put them in this way. So I'm going to back out and go to one where we don't have a lot of information and show you. So when I click to add a plan item up there in the top right hand corner, I'm going to click a strategic objective just so that we can look at that together. But you see here, we have created these templates ourselves. So as we're initially rolling this out to this first group of people, if there's something that's really not working, feel free to let us know because we're finalizing this now, but in the first rollout group, this is where it's imperative for us to know if something would be great to add or something that is absolutely not functioning well for all of us. And so we created this objective number because it's something that we've always used and referenced back with Weave, but we're still working out a naming convention for that. So when we send out templates, that will all be already worked out for you. But for now, if we put in objective number 1, and then this pre-populates with a new strategic objective, and it tells you that you want it to be for your department. It will automatically default to the start of the academic year that you selected, and it will end the end of that academic year. You can change it. So if you want this to go for 5 or 6 years, if you don't want it to end in June, if you want it to go to September of 2020, you can set it to go, and it will then shut off at that point in time. The one thing that will happen is that if we push to a future year, you will see some of these same things. So then if you have ended it in a previous year, when we push a new year of data, it will show up again, but then you can just change that year back. That's one of the small glitches that we're still working out, but hopefully that will be a quick fix. We just haven't gotten to that point yet. But it will still know that you ended it in that year. It just for some reason still pushes forward.
So are we not gonna do it every year like we're doing
So this is the thing. You are going to do it every year like you did in Weave, but the thing is, we've been working really hard with all of you to get Weave tidied up, to get the goals and the objectives really refined so that you don't have to do that piece every year. The ideal goal would be when you get all of this information in, unless your department has a big change or your program adds a bunch of new courses and you change a new direction, you shouldn't have to be updating this piece every single year. This should all stay the same, and all you should have to do is, and I'll go back and show you this part in a minute, but is enter your new findings. So your measures and your targets should all be the same every single year, as long as that's an active goal. So if your goal is to increase retention by 1% every year, then all you should enter is your findings and say, for this academic year, we had X number of students, which is a 5% increase or something. And then you're done. That's all you should have to do is go in and enter your findings. Again, unless you have some substantial change in your department or your program. We are going to be working to get everything from Weave into here and making sure that when it's going into Campus Labs, it is really nailed down, really refined to what we're looking for, so that after we get this last push done, we're done with all this stuff for a while, and it will just be once a year going in and you enter your findings. So what were your targets? What were you supposed to do? Did you hit it or did you not? So the options are similar to what they were in Weave. Did you meet your goal? Was it not met? Was it not assessed in this cycle? Or was it partially met? And so those will be your options, and you'll just be able to move forward. And it should be relatively simple, and that's why we have to push the objectives and everything out again every year so that you don't have to re-enter them. It's a manual part on our end now, which didn't necessarily used to be the case. We've kind of did it for you arbitrarily. We have to physically go in and push those objectives to the next academic year, and then all you should have to do is go in and enter your findings. So this is where we mentioned that this is similar in Weave. There used to be a little final checkbox. So when we're running report, this will be our way of checking whether or not your report is truly final. Are you finished with it in this cycle? Have you gone in and said, okay, Brittany, this is my objective for 2016-17. I'm telling you it's done. I'm marking it as final. So then when I run the report and I look at them, I know whether or not it's time for me to start looking at them and editing, or if you're still working on them. So if you're still drafting it, that's okay. If you have questions, then you'll just mark it as draft. And so this is where you'll give us a little bit more detailed information here about your specific, in this case, your objective. But there's one of these boxes for each of the items that you'll be entering. And then we included the checkboxes right here to link back to the strategic goals. So you'll just tell us which one of these strategic goals fits your specific objective. And then you'll click done. One of the things that is a little different about this than Weave is that if you click to add something, and now I did absolutely nothing here, no matter what I click, unless I click delete, this blank one is going to show up. So if I just click one or two things here and then I click done, I have this new strategic objective that I didn't change the name for, I didn't do anything to it, maybe I didn't mean to. So it's going to show up in your reports, it's going to exist from now on unless you go in and scroll down and click delete. So that's going to be one piece that will take a little getting used to, but it does allow you to go in and edit pieces of things if you need to. So again, what I was saying before was, in theory, once everything else is set up, once you click adding a planning item here, all you really should need to do each year is to click your findings and your action plan here and go in and enter the data that corresponds to that particular measure and target.
Can we condense some things together so the measure is with the target and not a separate section?
Yep.
And the same thing with the findings and action plan.
So here you'll just enter the number and the, oh wait, this is not what I meant to show you, I'm sorry. I wanted to show you findings and action plan. So before you had to enter your findings and then potentially click additional buttons to add the extra step for your action plan. Whereas here, again, it's going to show your academic year for your findings as a default. You don't have to do that. You click your final year draft here. Your target met is a drop down, which is a little different. And then you're just going to put your data in here. You can attach files here. So we are still asking for you to give us kind of a summary sentence. But if your data refers back to some large Excel file that you have or a sign-in sheet, you can just say, yes, I met my target, and whatever it was, 80% of students attended this event, and then you can just click file and attach your document right here so that you don't have to hold on to it, you don't have to worry, everything's together in this specific place, and if you ever need it again, it will house all that information for you. And so then you can do the same thing with your action plan. If you created an action plan for a year or a long-term action plan related to this, whether that's you want to hire new faculty, you want to add a new pathway, you can write a brief summary here and then just attach the file, and it's all in one nice little place. And then you'll just mark for your action plan, and again, we can track the status of that. Is it something that you're planning? Is it in progress? Is it completed, or did you decide to say we're not going to follow up on that action plan any longer? And then from there, one of the things that we're working on are the reports. And so we build these reports ourselves, and that's kind of a nice piece. It's not so nice for us, but hopefully it will be nicer for you in that we can build the system to generate reports based off of anything that you're putting in. And so you can run the report at any level. So if you run it at the Del State University level, you're running reports on everything related to that specific report from the top all the way down. If you just want to run the report from your department, then you can click just your department, and then you're going to go over here and run that report. If within your department there's a specific program that you want and you don't want anything else, you can click in there and go down even further to just that specific department. That piece is up to you. So it's wherever you are on this left-hand side is where you're going to run the report from. So I'm just going to click Del State. And then I'm going to run an institutional level report for all units. And we have already pre-selected default settings for you. So this specific report, we have come up with these parameters and we already defaulted them. So we're adding the providing department, but not the progress or the start or end dates. And so if you want to add those things, you can, but this is a generic report that's supposed to have a specific output. So if you get used to this, if this is the report that you're using for something, then you just leave all the defaults alone. You can scroll down to the bottom, and then you choose if you just want to view the report and make sure it's actually what you're looking for at that point in time before you go and do anything else with it. You can pull it as a CSV. So if you have a bunch of measures and findings in there that you want to be able to track longitudinally and you want those numbers in an Excel file, you can go ahead and do that. And your Word export is similar to the Word reports that we used to pull for you in Weave, but it actually looks a little bit prettier. So if we view this report here, it does take a minute because, again, I'm running it at the institutional level. And keep in mind, we don't have all the data in there yet, so it will likely take a little longer once we get everything in there as well. But you can see the breakdown, so it shows you the hierarchy here that we're at the Del State University level, and then here's the objective, and then the related measures, targets, findings, there's attachments here. So you can link right here to everything that you need. If once I've pulled this report, if I know, oh wait, I want to see what this is, I can click this link and this piece will pop up and it houses it all in one place. And once we're in this preview setting, if you decide from here, okay, this is what I want to run a Word export, then you can just do that right from here too. You don't have to go back to get to that option, which is a nice feature, I think. And again, this is customizable. Your departmental report is customizable, so it may look slightly different if you're just running for your department and you've changed the general outline, but This is just what we've entered temporarily for now for these particular units. And now I'll let Bina go.
Thank you. Okay, so the one thing that I think we forgot is there's a support site. When you first log on, everyone has access to the support site, and I can just briefly show that to you. The wrong one. And if you toggle back up at the top, it'll take you to the home base of Campus Labs. So when you click on your name login, you'll be able to click on support. And there are all these help centers. These are all the products that Campus Labs has, but we haven't purchased all of them. We only have the baseline, outcomes, compliance assist, and planning. And then there's more icons down here. You can search it. There are trainings, technical resources. They have recorded webinars. So the resources are a lot and very helpful too. Okay, so something that will be very helpful for every staff member is the baseline survey module. So I think this is really exciting because now you won't have to purchase a separate SurveyMonkey license or be limited by the free version that only offers you 10 questions and not ability to export. Every user can have access to the baseline survey. And we do have to give you access, so it's not automatic. So if you have staff members who need access to conducting surveys, please let us know. It allows you to create online surveys and distribute them through various methods. And it has many similar features to SurveyMonkey and Qualtrics. The fact about uploading, it has an authentication page also. But one of the unique feature that they have is that if you don't know how to create a survey or you need help in creating a survey, they have the service where if you send them a project request, they will create the survey for you. It takes about 3 to 4 days, but they will go ahead and give you a good validated type of survey that's reliable. The other feature is if you have data currently from old surveys, and I've asked SurveyMonkey and Qualtrics this question often. I've said that, oh, I have SurveyMonkey. Can you transfer all of my data into this new module if I go to you as a vendor? And they said they don't do that. But Campus Labs does. They have that option where if you have a data set for a survey that you've been conducting for the past few years or even just this past semester, and you want to have that data available, they will import it into the system and build a survey for you. Okay, so that's one of the very good features that I thought. And there's also an option called Community where you can go and look at other surveys from organizations, even from other schools. So you can copy their survey directly into your Campus Labs account, baseline account, and use that survey, which allows for benchmarking also. The NASPA benchmarking surveys are available in there. And the reports are pretty good too. They're very similar to Qualtrics. They have frequencies with the bar charts and pie charts, so you can easily look at it if you don't want to do any advanced analyzing. But if you want to do additional advanced analysis and pivot tables, you can export it to Excel or SPSS.
This is one of my favorite, sorry, Bina, I just want to jump in real quick. This is one of my favorite pieces about Campus Labs, and I think that it's really one of the greatest things, so just for those of you who might be wondering about sensitive data. So we have done some very specific training with this, and they will take all of your data from however you have it. So if you have specific IRB parameters, they will allow you to submit the data request, just like if you wanted them to build your survey for you. And we've also confirmed that they have unlimited data requests, so don't worry about us asking for too many. It's part of what we paid $1 gazillion for. But you submit a data request the same way, and you submit your questions for, even if it's a sensitive survey. You would submit just your question outline there, and they will import that piece. And then they have a secure data transfer file where you send an email where it's password protected and encrypted, and then they open that data file and they can put it in on the back end for you. And I'm sure that we'll get to this in other trainings, but it can get down to being locked down to one specific user, or you can share surveys department-wide, you can share them university-wide, depending on how sensitive or not the data is. So this does allow for very specific parameters, and so it would be compliant in just about any way that we need to conduct surveys, which is very exciting.
Okay. So I'll just go in and show you what that looks like. I keep clicking the wrong one. Let me just close out of there. Okay, so this is where you can access the ability to conduct surveys through Baseline. When you click in, and if you want to have them build your survey, you would go to Request Project. If you want to create your survey on your own, you can either click here or the project's up here. And right now, they haven't fixed this feature, but there will be a button that appears that says Create Project. They call the surveys projects. That's just the verbiage that they're using, but it's basically a survey. So we will see a Create Project button here. But right now, we just have the request option. And then it has all the similar features that SurveyMonkey does with all the drop-down questions, skip logic, all of that. But if you were going to create a request, this is what you would fill out, the information. So this is what we're working on for them to get our organizational chart set up so we can select what department we're in, how long the survey is going to be open. They have an app also. You can administer the survey through the app. We haven't played around with that yet, but we'll let you know when we have a chance to do that and various methods of administering it.
I also did just learn that if you choose to administer a survey here to other faculty or to students, if you require them to log in, so there's a toggle function or a button or something in here, I have not gotten to play with this yet, but I did hear, that if you require them to log in to do the survey, it automatically tracks their demographic information, their student, all of their information that is housed within our systems related back to that student or that faculty. And so if we want to tease apart that data later, you don't have to ask them for their race or ethnicity or gender. It's already attached. We also no longer would have to ask all of you what your department is or what your title is, because when we have you sign in to fill something out, it will auto-populate in through this system because your credentials have already been verified with your single sign-on.
Thank you. And these are some of the shared projects that they have here. The community that I was mentioning is on the community page. So you can see if you want to be part of this benchmark study with recreation and wellness, Ms. Jordan's here. She could go ahead and sign up and be part of this. You can search for a project. So if I want to search for alumni survey, it'll show me all the different alumni surveys that are available. So let me just look at maybe Hofstra University. And then I can export it to Word and take a look at it first to see if I like those questions, do I want to modify them? And then I can also request and just copy their whole survey and copy the project by clicking copy here. So it's very user-friendly. Because we don't have that create option yet, we haven't been able to get to the reports page, but this is similar to what the report would look like and the different export options. There are filters you can do within the baseline survey module, and there's all these different viewing options too. So I know that once you guys get a chance to play with it, you'll be experts in this. So the other feature is rubrics, and this was one of the main reasons we bought it, so that we don't have to have a separate ADCS system where the data are collected and then we have to go ahead and link the data into Weave. But the rubrics would allow us to be able to collect the data on our students. So each user has access to this. All of the faculty members can modify either an existing rubric or enter their own rubric. We have the ability to share rubrics, and this is something we would use for the general education. So we'll go ahead and put the general education rubrics at the institutional level and then share them with the faculty who will be collecting the data. And it allows us to integrate with Blackboard. There's a building block that has to be turned on in Blackboard. So then the data can be either collected in Blackboard and pushed to Campus Labs. So that would be one little bit easier step for faculty, or vice versa. There's also scoring options. You can either award points or just see how the student does using the rubric. There is an option for adding in not applicable. And also something that Dr. Lloyd would be very happy with is the opportunity to multiple evaluators. So if we want to set aside a time, maybe when we're evaluating our gen ed program and have maybe a paper reviewed by several faculty members to see inter-rater reliability, there is option to do that on one single assignment. And the aggregate results are nicely presented in reports too. They can be drilled down as well. So this is just a screenshot of what the rubrics area looks like. And I will go into that briefly also to show you how to add a rubric. And then the results, what the results would look like first. So these are each of the outcomes of the rubric and what students are falling into the 4 categories of the rubric. But one thing we do have to have a set decision for is how many buckets. What are the scaling score that we're going to use? So similar to advanced, proficient, satisfactory, unsatisfactory. So everyone kind of has to use that 4 rating model. So let me go ahead and show you the rubrics. So that's available either right through Baseline, and it is also available in the faculty area. So here's a few that I played with. And then if I want to create a new, I can start with a formatted rubric, or I can create one from scratch. So create one from scratch just looks like this. And then you're just going to copy and paste. So I think this looks very similar to Blackboard. Do you think so? If you've used Blackboard rubrics, I think this is what it looks like in Blackboard. And if I want to start with a formatted rubric, there's all these different ones here. Intellectual and practical skills. So let me look at critical thinking. So I can use the blank or use this whole template. And the rubric is ready. So if I want to add an additional dimension for my own course that isn't available in the standard rubric, I can just click add on this plus sign here. If I think that influence of context and assumptions doesn't really relate, I can delete that section of the rubric too. So it is very much modifiable. And if I want to award points or not, I have that option, I think, in rubric setting. So if I want to do it scoring or non-scoring rubric, if I want to have an NA option, if I want to have multiple evaluators, if I want to have the opportunity to collect comments, individual comment per student, or just overall comments, there's options there. And then my rubric will be created, I think. I thought I clicked add, but maybe I created a template of it. I think instead of in the assessment section. And then I have to add it to a course, if I have a course. Once our outcomes section is set up, you'll be able to see the roster of all your students. Right now, the students have to be entered manually, but when the outcome system is linked to rubrics, then it will all show you each of your students.
The people that do the rubric, does that have to be DSU? Could it be used by preceptors and supervising students outside of the university?
That's a good question, because the way Campus Labs works is we can't give anybody access that doesn't have the university email account. So they do have to have an university email account. But something we can talk to IT about maybe is creating a separate email that all preceptors can use. If IT can do that much for you, then I'm sure there could be a workaround for getting the rubric scored. But I'll have to look into that. I will ask Hope that question.
Is it possible to search already existing rubrics?
Meaning results that are collected in the existing rubrics, or?
If you don't want to create your own rubric,
Yes.
and you want to, is it possible to search a database of rubrics through that system?
Yes. Yes. So these, when I went in here and I said start with a formatted rubric, these were all the ones that they do have in the system. So assessment topics, career skills, and I think there's an option to search. So what is one that you want me to look for? Clinical? Dispositions. Yeah, I don't think it has that. But if you can find something related to maybe personal, social, intercultural knowledge and competence, something similar?
No, but I was just wanting to see how that works.
Okay.
And the same thing with the surveys. Can you search surveys by topic?
Yes, the surveys can be searched. So when I went to the community, right here is the keyword search. So that's where I did the alumni. I think they have more surveys than the rubrics that are in their database here. Any more questions on that? Okay. So I'll go on to, I know some of you have a class, so I will try to wrap it up. The next thing is the student response system. So this is similar to when we had the clickers, iClickers and Kahoot. It functions just like the clicker, where you can do in-class polling. You can collect also open-ended response with this system, and it will display the results in a word cloud format. There's options for tagging also. And in order to participate, you would ask your students or whatever group you're conducting a session with to log on at SRS, which stands for Student Response System.Campus Labs, and then give them your code. That will be in your own unique baseline account. And you have to remind them to make sure they hit submit at the bottom, because the submit is at the bottom. I was wondering yesterday when I was testing it out that why my results are not showing up, and it's because I didn't click submit. So I will show you how that works. So I'm just going to go back to the baseline, the home page, and then I can go to faculty just to show you where it is in faculty. It's also in baseline section too. So here's the response sessions. These are just some that I was playing with. I think this one is active. This is the connection ID that they would click on. So if I wanted to conduct a session, I would just add a question. And then there's little more settings here, whether you want it to be manual or self-paced. You can copy a whole session. You can download the results when you're done. And if you're done with this session or you don't need it anymore, you can delete it. So let me ask you a question. I'm going to spell. So I'm going to do an open-ended response. So if you want to play along on your phone, if you can go to the SRS, let me open that up here. Uh-oh, I typed it wrong. You don't need the www. Just type in srscampuslabs.com and it should take you to this page. Does anyone need help finding it? And then you have to enter my Connect ID, which is 23344. 23344 once you log on to srs.campuslabs.com. And I think that ID doesn't change. Oh, this is the wrong one. Is it showing you some other one? I think I have to close out of the other one that I was in. I have another one that's open, another session that I need to stop first. So I think I was in session 3, and this is the question. Is everyone seeing this question? Does anyone need help? srs.campuslabs.com, and then you put in your name. If you want to keep it anonymous, you could. And then click 23344. Okay, so I have 2 responses so far. So you can see what the word cloud looks like, use and ease. Anyone else have any other responses? Does anyone need help with logging onto?
The access number.
The what?
23344.
23344.
Is that like a unique number that's created every time you?
No, I think it's linked to your user ID, so it'll be the same number
For you.
for
And then it
you.
would be different for me, and it would be different
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
It's you or
I
not.
want to use the same platform.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can just have it in your slides or in your handouts or your syllabi, and it won't change. Yes?
Very similar to like Kahoot.
Yes. But the
Yeah,
only
the
thing,
music.
yeah, you can add your own music. But the only thing is that it doesn't mark questions as correct. So it's more of a polling system. So you as the instructor have to let the students know what the correct answers are then. Okay, that was the only thing. And I put that in as a request. I thought that that would be helpful to have because people like to know that they're right or wrong. Okay, is anyone else regenerate? Oh, okay, good. We have a lot more responses now, so you can see. So everybody likes the survey piece. I don't know what the Weave is, probably much better than Weave or something.
Is that big because lots of people?
Yeah.
Yes, that's why. Similar to just like another work cloud that you would see.
So we want to see their specific responses.
Then I would go to, I have to stop this, I think, and go to my settings and download it. So here's all the responses now. So what somebody said was it's not Weave, better than Weave, so that's why Weave was popping up.
If you have to download it right away? Or-
No, it will stay there. The results will remain in the system. So you don't have to feel like I have to get all of my data right away. You can go at any time and get it.
So Dina, could I use this as a weekly quiz in my class?
Yes. So there's options. I did the open-ended, but you do have options to, when I was creating the session. So if I want to add another question, you have the option to do multiple choice, single response, open response. You have other options there. So you can do true and false.
So once this goes live, will there be online tutorials?
Yes. Yes. The system has online tutorials, and we're working on creating small little videos for you as well. Okay, so you'll have both resources, and we're also available too, so we can always do a GoToMeeting session with you and walk you through the system.
But
And-
the Campus Labs help stuff is available already. I mean, they have dozens, hundreds of short videos, longer videos, training sessions that you can sign up for and watch.
And they're available after hours too. I think till 8 p.m. or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
They have extended hours.
So
And
that-
they're incredibly quick, at least so far in their responsiveness. If we email their help, I mean, it's an hour or so.
So the last module is the outcomes module, and this is the one that we don't have, it's not set up. The DSU page is not set up yet. So I just have the screen to show you from the PowerPoint slides what it would look like. So this is the feature that connects what data are collected by faculty in the rubrics module with the planning site. So there is an option to add a button, and then you can populate your data that are collected from rubrics into outcomes. And then planning has a button where you can populate the data that were transferred into outcomes. So then, like we had with ADCS, you had to download the data, analyze it, and then upload it into Weave. You'll just have the ability to connect it directly within the system. So this is one of the things that we really wanted, something that interconnects. And you can view the results at various levels, but we do have to have the common scale, as I mentioned before, whether we want to go with the 4 rating scale that we currently have: advanced, proficient, satisfactory, unsatisfactory. And most likely this will come probably from the Gen Ed committee, because they're the ones who will be working on the institutional level rubrics. The outcomes also has a curriculum mapping feature, which will make it easier, which I think somehow they're just generated automatically with the system, with the data that are collected in rubrics and outcomes.
You know, we have one more question.
Are we signing in through Firefox?
Chrome. Yeah, it works in Firefox too, but they've recommended Chrome. Yeah. But it does not work as well. I don't think it works as well in Internet Explorer.
I've used Firefox as my preference, and I've used it and have it only once or twice have had to switch over in all of our trainings. Yeah.
So this is just a view of what it would look like with the individual student results at the bottom, and then where most of the students are falling. And it has the color coding too, the red, the green, and darker green. So just final thoughts that I wanted to leave with you. When we were doing the bidding process for this, so we did have to officially go ahead and put out a bid. We did reference checks with some of the people who purchased this software, and one of the faculty members and VP of support services at Johnson C. Smith University gave us this really nice feedback. She said that she wants to point out that a tool is only going to be as powerful as a person using it. So and you've got to use it more. You've got to make the most out of it. So if it just sits on the shelf and is not utilized as much, then we're not going to get our money's worth out of it. We're not going to be able to reap all the benefits. There's a lot to be reaped from this, as you've seen from this just broad overview demonstration. So once we get down into all the specific little trainings, then you'll be able to see other features that you didn't know about. And I think you will really enjoy it, but you've got to get in there and get your hands dirty and be excited about it. So it's a good change, I think so.
So take all of your hate from Weave and turn it into love for Campus Love.
Yes. And I did want to thank you all for coming very much and helping us to give you this broad overview. And I do want to recognize Jack London, who is the IT person programmer, who helped us with the data imports, and especially Vaughn Hopkins, who helped us with a lot of our programming questions. Even though he was busy with so many other projects, he still took the time to help us too. So really want to appreciate them. So thank you all very much. Any other questions anyone has?
She said, when did we say all the features will be available?
Well, we're going to roll them out slowly. So we're doing some pilot testing with some of the key people. As you may have seen in some of the screens, there were some people that we added as pilot test. Yeah, I think you're one of the pilot groups, so you'll be getting it sooner than later. So I think the two features that we will roll out first will be the planning and the survey, the baseline survey, those two features. Because the Gen Ed program is still being revised, so I think we will wait till the new format for the Gen Ed program is completed so that we can have the new rubrics in the system rather than put our current rubrics and have to switch back to additional new rubrics later on. So we thought we would wait till fall for the rubrics in the outcome section. Okay. But we may still be doing pilot testing with Dr. Silver and others.
You do want to get your assessments for your areas in a Word document so you can just kind of cut and paste and move them over to be really succinct. We've got an outline that will be circulating later on, probably for December.
Did you want to introduce yourself? Come up here.
Hi. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Jackson. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Institutional Effectiveness. So this is one of my areas. But we are trying to standardize some of that and really get you to look at it so that you don't just have him like in Weave, you just had stuff, you put stuff because you had to do it. We need you to think about it. And I'm not saying everybody, but some people. So really think about what it is you can measure and want to measure. And then we'll kind of work backwards. What's important to your outcome?
Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you very much again and enjoy the food. So if you have to rush, then at least grab a plate before you go. Thank you.
If anybody wants to be on an early slide, let me know. You want to start this earlier because you're just a glutton for punishment. You're just ready to go. I think you'll find it interesting. And then,